now. Why? The question generated another of those pauses. You're not safe. She glanced around again. How could you know that? I do. Now move. The bar at the bottom of the desktop screen reached the end of the box. The wipe program was loaded. Thank you. While Jane appreciated Vamp Man's concern, there was no way she could leave. The bits and pieces of information on this lab computer were too sensitive, and the risk that anyone who found the research could put the pieces together and use her work as a deadly weapon wasn't one she was willing to take. She wasn't about killing people, but sometimes discoveries were a double-edged sword. The laptop beeped for her attention. Damn it, you're still there, aren't you? She ignored the question. The wipe process would have been so much easier if she could have had the program installed and waiting, but the company's periodic sweep of the lab computers had made that impossible. She hit the run button. The whole procedure would take about 2 hours. She needed at least the first pass completed before she left. She had to be sure her research was gone. She'd started out hoping to find a way to ease world hunger by maximizing the body's ability to obtain nutrition from not-so-traditional sources, but along the way she discovered the combination of amino acids, proteins, and DNA that optimized the nutrition of any food for any specific group of people. But applied in reverse, those amino acids and proteins attached to specific invasive DNA could easily be a biological weapon that could cause nations to waste away. Specific nations, specific races, specific families. She shuddered. Trancor's interest had peaked right about the time she'd realized what she was looking at. The laptop blinged 2 times in rapid succession. Jane! Answer me. Vamp Man was getting antsy. So was she, and there still wasn't any discernible reason for it. Reaching under the desk to the keyboard tray, she turned off the safety on her revolver. She picked up her soda, and then reconsidered. Maybe her problem was that she was drinking too much caffeine. The can settled back on the utilitarian desk with a soft click. Another bling from her personal laptop. She looked up. Vamp Man had signed off. She felt strangely abandoned. Of all the men she'd known, and there had been quite a few during that punish-herself phase she'd gone through before realizing that as an adult she was in control, for some reason she'd expected him to have more staying power. Just goes to show there's no telling with men. The sound of her voice blending with the hum of the climate control system only added to the spooky atmosphere. The lab might be her home away from home, but at midnight it did not provide a stay-with-me hug of security, which was utterly ridiculous considering the state-of-the-art security system and the heavily armed guards who roamed the halls. She should feel completely safe. There's no telling with women, either. She spun her chair around at the sound of the low drawl, tinged with a hint of the West. Stopping its rapid spin with her foot, she fumbled behind her for the gun, unable to take her eyes off the man in front of her. 1 second she'd been alone, and now she was staring at the epitome of every woman's dream. The man had the requisite broad shoulders and lean hips of an athlete, but he packed something more compelling than a great physique. Something she couldn't quite put her finger on, but it stole the breath from her lungs and raised the hairs on her forearms in an agony of awareness. Maybe it was the uncompromising masculinity of his harshly squared features. Maybe it was the utter sensuality of the mouth set in that rawly handsome face. Or maybe it was just the way he stared at her, with those hazel eyes that wavered between bright green and calm. Damn, he had strange eyes. Beautiful, but different. She cocked her head to the side as the scientist inside her took over. They almost seemed to glow, and within them was an expectation she couldn't quite make out. But maybe if she just looked a little longer... He took a step forward. Panic flared as he leaned down, but she couldn't move. Couldn't do anything but stare into those fascinating eyes. Metal scraped across metal, and then the heavy weight of the gun pressed into her hand. Next time, grab the gun before you turn around. She blinked as he straightened.